Hello everyone, welcome to day 4th of October LeetCode Challenge, and today's question is Iceland parameter. In this question, we are given a grid of m cross n wherein there are two possibilities for each cell. Either it can be land or it can be water. Land is represented by 1 and water cell is represented by 0. We need to calculate the parameter of the island that gets formed in this complete grid. Also, it is given that there is only one island, there are not multiple islands in the grid. So we should only iterate as soon as we identify the first one, because it will be connected across the complete matrix. Without much ado, let's look at the presentation that I have created for this. It seems like an easy question, but it's a very important question and forms the basis of the typical DFS BFS approach in the matrix problems. We have solved plenty of such questions in the past, but it's a good revision for us. Let's get started with the solution. Iceland parameter LeetCode 463. It's an easy question, but it's an important question from graph traversal problems and matrix problems. So let's try and understand the question. The question says we are given a grid of size m cross n, and there are islands, there are cells in those grid. 0 represents water and 1 represents land, and there is only one island in this complete grid. There are not multiple islands in this complete grid. And the question says we need to identify the length of the perimeter of the island that gets formed, and in this case the length is 16. If you go and count what I have highlighted in blue, its count is 16, and the crux of the problem lies in how do you identify the perimeter of the island. There are two attributes to it. If the current land cell is in touch with the water cell, for example, this is my land cell and it's in touch with the water cell on its left, it's in touch with the water cell on its right. So we need to take this boundary into consideration. So we'll add 1 while traversing in the matrix, and we'll also incorporate one size parameter for against this boundary which is in touch with this land cell by virtue of being water. The second constraint comes up that says if the current land cell lies at the boundary, then that lies at the parameter. For example, this one. So it lies at the boundary, that means it contributes to the parameter. So we need to add 1 for this case as well. So 1 comes from this side, 1 comes from this side, and 1 comes from this side. Do we need to take into consideration this particular cell? No. Or this particular part of the matrix? No, because we have land in the bottom, so we don't need to consider, or this edge will not correspond to the perimeter of the island. You can iterate through one more case. Let me just change the color of pen. For example, we have this particular cell into consideration, and we check across its neighbors, top, right, bottom, left. Do we see any water cell? No water cell exists. That means this particular cell, all the 4 edges on this particular cell will not contribute to the perimeter of the island. This is what we are gonna do while traversing in the BFS fashion or the DFS fashion, but I will try to follow the same template as I usually do in all such problems, maximum area of an island and plenty of others. So let's get started with the coding section. We just need to iterate in a DFS fashion and take into consideration these two conditions. So let's move on to the code. So here I have initialized 2 variables, m and n, one for the row count, other for the column count. I created the visited array, which I usually do in all such problems, and as soon as I see my first cell as the land cell, I perform the DFS operation that will tell me the parameter of the island corresponding to this particular cell. So let's see what lies in this DFS operation. It accepts 4 parameters. One, the grid, that's pretty obvious. The starting ith index, the starting jth index, and the visited array, so that we don't witness or go into looping conditions while traversing in the DFS fashion. If my I happens to be less than 0, or j happens to be less than 0, or I happens to be greater than equal to grid dot length, or j happens to be greater than 0 dot length, that simply means I have witnessed the boundary condition. I need to return 1 in those cases. This is what we understood from the presentation as well. Also, if my current cell happens to be 0, that means we have a water cell at that particular instance of ij. We need to return 1 in those cases. I go ahead and check if I have visited the cell in the past. If I have visited it, I simply return 0 from it. Otherwise, I go and mark it as visited. I invoke my DFS operation in all the 4 directions, top, left, bottom and right, and simply return the result whatever comes out of this parent DFS method. So a stack would be formed across this DFS, and we will calculate the answer as we progress in that stack. So let's try this up. Runtime is 19 milliseconds and it is 8.56% faster, which is not that great. I want to show you the other code which I coded in April last year or March last year, and that was also an interesting solution, but it wasn't on the pattern that we usually follow. So let's just go and watch it. I created m and m variables, that is for the safety checks. If m happens to be less than equal to 0, I return 0. If n happens to be less than equal to 0, I return 0. I created a variable count that will store my result. I started iterating over the matrix. If I see or witness my cell as a land cell, I check in all the 4 directions. First one in the upper row, here I am checking in the lower row, here I am checking towards the left column, here I am checking towards the right cell with respect to the current cell, and if in any of these 4 cases I witness water, I increment my parameter count. Also, these conditions, I happens to be equal to 0, j happens to be equal to 0, I plus 1 happens to be equal to m, j plus 1 happens to be equal to n. These are also 4 conditions that will help us identify the boundary state. If any of these 2 conditions are met, I simply increment the parameter and I simply return this count. But this is not the correct way of doing this, I would say, because for these questions we usually follow a pattern, and that pattern primarily works in all the cases. So I would urge you guys to stick to that pattern, have those visited arrays created, operate your mind or logic in those terms, because it will be easier to solve new questions on the same pattern. This brings me to the end of today's session. I hope you liked this advice, and the time complexity is pretty straightforward, order of n into m. There's no extra space in this solution. However, the solution that I proposed before, we were using an extra space for the visited array of m cross n, which is no harm. This brings me to the end of today's session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for viewing it. Have a great day ahead and stay tuned for more updates from Coding Decoded. I'll see you tomorrow with another fresh question, but till then, goodbye.